Hey, what's up guys, it's Darkham Duelist, and today I'm going to be doing an Infernity deck profile. So there was actually a couple of you that were commenting down below and were like, I bet you won't do an Infernity deck profile, but guess what? I did. So this is a really fun deck that basically loops over and over and over again with Infernity Archfiend, just continuously special summoning it to your side of the field to be able to search your Infernity barriers and in your Inferno. Without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Patreon because we have some really cool rewards for you guys, like getting sent a signed card, getting your name in the description of every single video, and getting to request a deck profile of your choice every single month that you are a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing the one of Infernity Archfiend, which is actually limited to one, unfortunately. This deck is really weird, and it has some really limited cards in this deck that I don't ever think are going to come off the list. Like Launcher and Archfiend, I don't think are ever going to come off the list, because if they do, it's going to really look weird. It's going to be a real weird format. Basically, this entire deck focuses around not having cards in your hand. So the only Infernity monsters only will activate their effects if you don't have any cards in your hand. So the effect of Infernity Archfiend is if you have no cards in your hand and you draw this card, you can reveal it and special summon it. And when this card is special summoned, if you have no cards in your hand, you can add one Infernity card from your deck to your hand. Really good effect to be able to add a card from your deck to your hand. One copy of Infernity Patriarch. Infernity Patriarch is, if this card's the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand, and then it also has the ability that when you have no cards in your hand, if an Infernity monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can banish this card from your grave instead. One copy of Infernity Avenger. Infernity Avenger is really neat because when a monster you control, except an Infernity Avenger, would be destroyed by battle by an opponent's monster and sent to the graveyard while you control no cards in your hand, you can special summon this card from your graveyard in that case, and the level of this card becomes equal to the monster destroyed. The really cool thing is I can actually set this board up with 7 negates, which is interesting. We play 3 copies of Infernity Necromancer. Infernity Necromancer is kind of like Monster Reborn in this deck. It's kind of like the bread and butter of the deck, that when this card is normal summon, copies of Infernity Mirage. Infernity Mirage, some people play it at 1, some people play it at 2. It can be special summoned from your hand with Soryuja. And when you special summon it from your hand to put them back on the field, because you can just blow through 3 Soryujas in a single turn, which is really funny with this card. But this card cannot be special summoned from the graveyard, and if you have no cards in your hand, you contribute it to a special summon 2 Infernity monsters from your grave, and you can special summon those targets. Then I play something that not a lot of people that play Infernities play, and that's 3 copies of Infernity Beetle. Now the reason I play 3 Beetle is actually because of Crystron Needlefiber, because you can actually link into that card and then summon the Infernity Beetle from deck and then tribute them both. Or tribute Infernity Beetle while you have no cards in your hand, and then special summon 2 more Infernity Beetles, and then go into a card like your Union Carrier, and then equip something onto another monster, and then go from there. Like there's so, like Stygian Street Patrol onto another monster, and then link them away, and then special summon an Infernity monster from your hand. Like or your graveyard, or set it up. Like there's so many different plays with this card that you can just get the 2 monsters on field, or you can even synchro for like a copy of your Brionac if you have cards in your hand that you can't get out of your hand, which sometimes rarely happens, but it can happen. But that's just an option for you guys. Then we play a Danger Engine just to get some cards out of our hand and get monsters on board, which is just a single copy of Nessie. Danger Nessie basically has the ability that you can reveal in your hand, and then your opponent randomly chooses 1 card and your entire hand and then discards it. Then if it was discarded, the discarded card was not Danger Nessie, you get to special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you get to draw a card. And if this card is discarded, you get to add a danger card from your deck to your hand. I play a single copy of Jackalope. Jackalope's really neat because it has the same effect as Nessie, but you get to special summon a Danger Jackalope from your hand if it's not the card that was discarded. And if you do, draw a card. And if it's discarded, you get to special summon a Danger monster from your deck to your field. 1 copy of Danger Tatsunoko. Tatsunoko is kind of like the same as the other 2, but regardless if it's discarded or not, you get to special summon it, which is really cool. 3 copies of Mothman, because you really want to go for rank 4 XYZs in this deck, like your number 60 Douglas, and then, I just call it Douglas. And then we play 3 copies of Chupacabra as well, because you really want to go for those plays where you can go after the rank 4s. It's really pivotal that you can go into rank 4s in this deck. So you play the 3 copies of Mothman and the 3 copies of Chupacabra. Chupacabra is really neat because if it's discarded, then you can target a danger monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So it's a really good extender for the deck and really helps out as being such. Then we play 3 copies of Stygian Street Patrol. Stygian Street Patrol is kind of like a staple in Infernity decks. That basically, if this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the monster's level times 100. Yeah, that seems like a good effect. No. What we're going to be doing with this card is the graveyard effect that you can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a fiend monster with 2,000 or less attack from your hand, which could be your one-of copy of your Infernity Archfiend. You just banish Stygian Street Patrol, special summon it from your hand, or if you have a copy of Archfiend in your hand, you can banish the Archfiend and then special summon out banish this and then special summon out Necromancer or Archfiend or Patriarch. Any of these have less than 1,000 attack. You can just special summon, or less than 2,000 attack. We play a single copy of Dark Grepher. Dark Grepher basically is here because it's something that can send cards to graveyard, and that's why you play it, because you're trying to get like Stygian Street Patrol to the grave. 1 copy of Armageddon Knight. The Armageddon Knight on normal summon sends a monster to the graveyard, which is really cool, and everything is dark, so you're going to send something that you need to the graveyard. And a single copy of Archfiend Eris. If this card is sent to the graveyard because of a card effect or being destroyed by battle, you can add an Archfiend card from your deck to your hand. Basically, you get your Infernity Archfiend out of your deck, so you can use it for plays and special summoning it from your hand. So that's a lot of monsters, but that's the way you got to play Infernities. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. Now, I will mention to you guys, if you feel like you're bricking with your Infernity Beetle, you can put Called by the Grave in here. That is an option to tag out the Infernity Beetles. It's something that I really like as a tech card, but if you don't want to play the Infernity Beetle, you definitely can drop these for Called by the Graves if you feel like you're getting hand trapped or something like that. I actually side the Called by the Graves and Super Polys in this deck because I really just want to go for Soryujas over and over and over again. So for these spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. The Monster Reborn basically is here as an extender, and that's the big reason you play it. Foolish Burial, because you might need to send a Stygian Street Patrol to the graveyard, or a copy of your Archfiend Eris. 1-for-1, because it summons Mirage from the deck. It summons Avenger from the deck. There's just cards that you need out of the deck. 1 copy of Launcher. Launcher's the best spell in the entire deck. That once per turn, you can send a Infernity monster from your hand to the grave. And then you can send this card from your to the graveyard and then target 2 Infernity monsters in your grave and special summon them, but you must have no cards in your hand to activate and resolve that effect. The really cool thing is this basically is a spell version of Mirage. And it's searchable, and you can just instantly activate it, which is really, really cool. I really like that they have that as a searchable card. It's really, really nice. Then we play 2 copies of World Legacy Succession. The 2 World Legacy Successions are basically here because they're 2nd and 3rd Monster Reborns. I didn't have room for a 3rd one, or I would have played a 3rd one, but it just feels like I get it at the exact moment I need it, so I don't play it at 3. And then we play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Yes, you want to get rid of cards in your hand, but you have to draw into your combo pieces in this deck. So you play the 3 Allure so you can draw into your combo pieces. That's really pivotal in this deck. So you have to play the 3 Allure, or you're not going to draw into your combo pieces. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, because we don't play that many traps in this deck. We only play 4. We play the standard, we play an Infernity Break, and then we play 3 copies of Infernity Barrier. Basically what these do is Infernity Break has the ability that if you have no cards in your hand, you can target an Infernity monster in your graveyard and a card your opponent controls, banish the first target, and if you do, destroy the second one. So it lets you pop a card on your opponent's side of the field and banish an Infernity from the grave, which is not that big of a deal. If you have multiple copies of Necromancer in the graveyard, you can just banish a Necromancer, or if you have a Mirage in the graveyard, you just banish the Mirage and get it out of there so you don't have to worry about its effect. But you want to keep at least 1 Mirage in the graveyard so you can use it with the effect of 100 Eyes Dragon, which we'll get into in just a minute. The effects of your Infernity Barrier basically negates a spell trap or monster effect while you control a face-up attack position Infernity monster and you have no cards in your hand, and you negate and destroy it. So basically you can end on a turn where you have an Appaloosa and 3 of these set and an Infernity Archfiend on the field, which is really good and really easy to do in this deck. I mean, it takes a little bit of looping and you kind of got to play with it a little bit, but it's not hard. But that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I am playing 3 copies of 100 Eyes Dragons. You guys are going to look at me and go, what? That's crazy. But he's going to look at you back with all 3,000 eyes, or all 300 eyes. But it works. It really works. Basically what this card does is you have to go into this card using a dark tuner and a non-tuner fiend monster. And then once per turn, you can activate this card's effect by removing from play a level 6 or lower dark effect monster from your graveyard. And then until the end phase, this card's treated as this card's name is treated as that monster's until the end phase, and it gains that following effect. And it also has some Earthbound Immortal synergy, but we don't play Earthbound Immortals and Infernities because this deck already does enough on its own. But it's really easy to go into with Avenger and like a copy of Archfiend and Necromancer. It's really easy to go into it that way. And then you banish a copy of your Mirage from the graveyard. You either banish your copy of Necromancer so you can bring back a copy of your Archfiend once it's been used, or you banish the Mirage, tribute this, and then special summon the copies from the graveyard, your 2 Infernity Archfiend and your Necromancer. Then you can link away, you can use the effect of your Archfiend, and then search a card, and then link it away, leave the Necromancer on the field, and then bring it back, and you basically get 2 searches off of that, which is really, really cool, and I really like that. So that's why I played at 3, is because it helps me loop and get my cards out faster. 1 copy of Void Ogre. If you feel like, really quickly, if you feel like this is too much on the 100 eyes, you can drop one for like a Beals, so you can have like a bit of a sword in the deck, because I don't play Beals in here, but that is an option for you guys. Void Ogre Dragon, because it's a signature Callum Kessler card. But basically what it does is negate spells or traps when you have no cards in your hand, which is really cool once per turn. I really like that effect, and it's one of my favorite boss monsters in the entire game. 1 copy of Trishula, because it's really funny to set 3 barriers and Trish your opponent on the same turn. That's really crappy, but you can do it. Basically, you do the same thing that you were doing before with your Avenger, but you just replace the Avenger with a copy of Beetle. And you can go into this card because 3, 2, and 4 is 9. And Trish is saying hello to your opponent's hand, deck, and grave, which is really, really cool to be able to do. Then we play a single copy of Brionic because we need the brothers in this deck. You need the 2 Ice Barrier Dragons. This card helps you empty your hand and pop cards out of your opponent's side of the field if you are going second, which really helps out. Stardust Charge Warrior lets you draw a card, which can help you get a little bit more resources if you're going with Infernity Beetle. And then we play, for the Link monsters, you guys are going to go, oh. But we play 3 copies of Soryuja. You need the 3 copies of Soryuja because you can go into all 3 copies in a single game. Actually, in a single turn, if you play it correctly. But basically, this card lets you dig into the deck and get the particular card that you need. And it lets you special summon a copy of Mirage from your hand. That's the big thing that you're usually going to do with this card. Or if you have an Archfiend in your hand and you need to start looping, you can actually special summon the Archfiend from your hand with this, and then it'll trigger if it's the only card in your hand, which is really nice as long as it's special summon and you have no cards in your hand. This will trigger the Archfiend, which is nice. 1 copy of Appaloosa. You always want to end on Appaloosa so you can have those 4 negates. You can put 4 materials into it really easily, but it's really easy to end with the Appaloosa and the 3 Infernity Barriers. So basically you're ending with 7 negates. You can end with 8 if you play Borreload Savage, but I don't play that. 1 copy of Crystron, the Crystron Link monster. This card helps me get out the Beetles out of my deck. 1 copy of Daigusto Emerald because you can make it really easy and it helps you recycle your resources back into the deck. 1 copy of Number 60. Number 60 is really good because it lets you draw 2 and discard 1, which helps you get into like your dangers and stuff like that and the cards that you really need. It also can double the attack of a monster during the battle phase, which can help you OTK. And then we play a single copy of Chaos Dragon Levineer. Levineer actually brings back... The reason I play Levineer is because if you do get called by the grave... if they call by the grave your Archfiend, they're only going to call by the grave once normally. And if they do have the second one, you just scoop. But if you can make Chaos Dragon Levineer, or you make, okay, not Chaos Dragon Levineer, but Levineer the Sea Dragon, then you can bring this back onto the field and trigger and just start looping again. This card really, really helps out. And also, you can bring back Mirage because you're bringing it back from being banished. If your opponent's not playing Call by the Grave, you can just bring back the Mirage off of this effect and keep looping as well. I've thought about bumping that up to 2 because I feel like it's easy to make it with 2 Necromancers, but for the moment I'm just playing it in 1. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope that was enough to explain Infernities to you guys. I might try and do maybe some test hands with it where I show you guys how it plays a little bit better, because Infernities are a really fun deck to play around with for me. It's not fun for my opponent, but it's fun for me, which is all you have to say about Infernities. Just do us a favor and don't set your monsters in your back row, guys. Don't do that. That's not cool. And wash your hands. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Room Duelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad. Definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below. Tell me what you think about Infernities. Tell me if you have some horror stories about playing against Infernities, because this deck is infamous for being one of the hardest decks to play against in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community when it was in prime. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Room Duelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.